Hey everyone, welcome back to Maths Nation. Today we're going to be going through the 2024 November Paper 1 Non-Calculator Foundation Tier paper. We'll be going through each and every question step by step to make sure that we get full marks. Let's get into it. Question 1 says, write 25% as a decimal. So to change from a percentage to a decimal, we divide by 100. So that's 25% over 100, and that gives us 0.25. Question 2 says, here are the first 4 even numbers. Write the 10th even number. So we could list out all the even numbers, or we can see that there's a pattern. So this is our first even number, this is our second, our third, and our fourth. And so you can see that the term number 1, 2, 3, 4 is just doubled to give our numbers 2, 4, 6, 8. And so if we're looking for our 10th even number, so that's times by 2, that is 20. So our answer is 20. Question 3 says, change 15 centimeters into millimeters. So we know that 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. And so to get to 15 centimeters, we're multiplying both sides by 15. And so 10 multiplied by 15 is 150. So 15 centimeters is 150 millimeters. Question 4 says, write down the multiple of 9 that is between 20 and 30. Well, that will be 27, as it's 9, 18, 27. Question 5 says, work out 500 plus 145. So 500 plus 145, 5 plus 0 is 5, 4 plus 0 is 4, and 5 plus 1 is 6. So 645. Question 6 says, Javid hires a car for 10 days. He pays £45 for each day. He also pays £30 for insurance. Javid pays with 10 £50 notes. Work out how much change he should get. So let's work out how much he spent. So for 10 days, he pays £45 a day. So that's 45 multiplied by 10, and that's £450. He then also pays £30 for insurance. So that's 450 add 30. That's 5 plus 3, which is 8. And so it's £480. Then he pays with 10 £50 notes. So that's 10 multiplied by the £50 notes. 10 times 50 is 500. And so we do 500 minus 480, and that is equal to 20. So he gets £20 as change. 7 says, here is an accurately drawn triangle. Question A is asking, measure the length of the side PQ, give your answer in centimeters. Well, as this is a recording and a zoomed in question, we're not going to be able to draw this accurately. But if this was in the paper, you'd get your ruler, you'd line it up at P and measure all the way to Q. And that would give you this length here, PQ, which should be 9.5 centimeters. Part B says, what type of angle is the angle marked X? Well, as we can see, the angle marked X is less than 90 degrees. So an angle that is less than 90 degrees is known as an acute angle. Part C says, measure the size of the angle marked X. So again, we can't do this accurately, but you would get your compass, measure 0 here and work your way up this way. And that should give you 32 degrees. Question 8 says, write down the coordinates of point A. So we always do the x-axis first. So it's 1, 2, 3 on the x, and then 1 up for the y. So our coordinate is 3, 1. Part B says, on the grid, mark with a cross the point 3 minus 4, label this point B. So again, we're going to start at the x-axis. Starting at 0, it's 3, it's positive, so we go to the right, 1, 2, 3. And then minus 4 on the y-axis, so we go down, 1, 2, 3, 4. So our cross is here, and we're going to label that point B. Part C says, write down the coordinates of the midpoint of AC. So we'll draw that line AC. And you can see that the midpoint is here. And so we can see we don't move on the x-axis at all, and we go up the y-axis by 2. So our answer is 0, 2. Question 9 says, Millie collects stickers of sports players. She only has stickers of tennis players, football players, and cricket players. The incomplete bar chart shows some information about the number of stickers Millie has. Question A says, Millie has a total of 40 stickers. Complete the bar chart. So we can see that for tennis players, we have 12. And for football players, we have 17. And so if we add that together, that's 12 plus 17, that's 29. We know that she has a total of 40 stickers, so that's 40 minus 29, which is equal to 11. And so our cricket bar is going to go up to 11. So you see 11 is here. And so we're going to draw a bar like so. Part B says, what fraction of the 40 stickers are stickers of tennis players? Give your fraction in its simplest form. Well, we know that we have 12 tennis player stickers. There's a total of 40, so that's our fraction. And now we need to simplify this. And so we need to find a number that goes both into 12 and 40, which is 4. 4 goes into 12 3 times, and 4 goes into 40 10 times. And so our answer is 3 over 10. Question C says, Ewan also collects stickers. He only has large stickers and small stickers. For Ewan stickers, the ratio of the number of large stickers to the number of small stickers is 5 to 4. Write down the fraction of Ewan stickers that are large stickers. Well, to get the fraction of the ratio, we need to add all the ratios together. In our case, it's 5 plus 4, which is 9. So the total ratio is 9. And we know that there's 5 large stickers, so the answer is 5 over 9. Question D says, write the ratio of 5 to 4 in the form n to 1. So we have 5 to 4. And what we want to do is we want to get this 4 equal to 1. And so in order to do that, we're going to divide this side by 4, because 4 divided by 4 gives us 1. As ratios, whatever you do to one side of the ratio, you have to do to the other. So 5 divided by 4 gives us 1.25. And so our answer is 1.25 to 1. Question 10 says, on the grid, reflect the shaded shape in the mirror line. So the best way to tackle this is to find out how far away each point is away from the mirror line. So this point here is 1, so it's going to be down here. This point here is 1, 2, 3, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3 here. This point here is 1, 2, so it's going to be 1, 2 here. And then this point here is just 1, so this point is going to be here. And so if we join up the lines, the reflected shape looks like that. Part B says, write down the equation of the mirror line. Well, the mirror line is where y is equal to 1. And so the equation is y is equal to 1. Question 11 says, 500 people were asked what type of film they liked best. 280 of the 500 people were adults. 100 of the adults said that they liked action films best. 80 of the children said they liked thriller films best. 150 of the people said they liked action films best. And 200 of the people said they liked comedy films best. Part A is asking us to complete the two-way table. So let's fill up the table with the information that we've been given. We have 280 of the 500 people that are adults. So 280 here. 100 of the adults said they liked action films best. So 100 here. 80 of the children said they liked thriller films best. So thriller and children is 80. 150 of the people said they liked action films best. So that's 150 total for action. And then 200 of the people said they liked comedy films best. So 200 here. So we can work out the total number of children by doing 500 minus 280, and that gives us 220. So we have 220 children. We can figure out how many children like action films. That's 150 minus 100, and that gives us 50. And we can also work out the total number of thriller. That's 500 for the total minus 150 minus 200. That's 150. We can then work out the number of adults that like thriller films. That will be 150 minus 80, and that gives us 70. And then finally, we can work out the numbers for comedy. So let's start with the adults. That's 280 adults in total, minus 100 for action, minus 70 for thriller, and that gives us 110. So 110 of the adults prefer comedy. And so then to work out the number of children that like comedy, that will be 200 minus 110. That gives us 90. And that is our table completed. Part B says one of these 500 people is chosen at random. Find the probability that this person is an adult who said they liked action films best. So we know that the total number of people is 500, so that's going to be our denominator, and our numerator is the number of adults that said that they like action films, which is 100. So it's 100 over 500. Question 12 says Ollie was asked to work out 5 minus 3 times 4. Ollie wrote 5 minus 3 equals 2. He then worked out 2 times 4. Explain what is wrong with Ollie's method. Well, we know that to tackle these sort of questions, we always follow BIDMAS, which is brackets, any indices, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So Ollie should have multiplied 3 times 4 first. So it should be 3 times 4, which is equal to 12, and then 5 minus 12, which is equal to minus 7. Question 13 says, here is a number machine. Part A is asking us, find the output when the input is 11. So our input is 11, and the first thing that we do is we add 5. So 11 plus 5 is equal to 16. And then we do divide by 2. So 16 divided by 2 is equal to 8. So the output is 8. Here is a different number machine. When the input is 10, the output is 28. Complete this number machine. So firstly, let's work our way backwards. We know that the output is 28, and we need to multiply a number by 4 to get to 28. So if we divide by 4, we get 7. So we know that our number here is 7. And so we need to get from 10 to 7. Well, how do we do that? We minus 3, which means this is minus 3. Question 14 says, here is a cuboid of length 10 centimeters and width 4 centimeters. The cuboid has a volume of 200 centimeters cubed. Work out the height of the cuboid. Well, to work out the volume of a cuboid, we do length times width times height. We know that the volume is 200. We know that the length is 10, the width is 4, and the height is what we're trying to work out. So 10 times 4 is 40, so it's 200 is equal to 40 times h. And so to make h the subject, we take the 40 to the other side, so it's h is equal to 200 divided by 40, and therefore h is equal to 5. And so the height is 5 centimeters. Here is a different cuboid. Work out the total surface area of this cuboid. Well, we can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 long sides, and we have 2 short sides. So let's work out the long sides first. So the length of the long side is 6 centimeters multiplied by 5 centimeters to get the area of one side. So 6 times 5 is equal to 30. We know that there's 4 of these sides, so it's 30 times 4, which is equal to 120 centimeters squared. For the smaller sides, we have 3 times 5, which is 15, and there's 2 of them, so 15 times 2 is 30 centimeters squared. And so to get the total, it's 120, add 30, which is 150. So the total surface area of this cuboid is 150 centimeters squared. Question 15a is asking us to factorize 6a plus 15. So we need to work out what is common in both 6a and 15. So we know 3 goes into both. That leaves us with 2a plus 5 inside the brackets. And we can check this. 3 times 2a gives us 6a, and 3 times 5 gives us 15. So factorized, it's 3 brackets 2a plus 5. Part B is asking us to solve 4 multiplied by 3y plus 1 is equal to 28. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to expand the brackets. So 4 times 3y is 12y. And 4 times 1 is just 4. And that's equal to 28. We're then going to take the plus 4 to the other side and do minus 4. So that's 12y is equal to 28 minus 4. So 12y is equal to 24. And the last thing that we need to do is we need to get rid of the 12. So that's multiplied by 12 on this side. So if we take it to the other side, it's divide by 12. And so that becomes 24 divided by 12 is equal to y. And therefore y is equal to 2. Question 16 says 1 cup of tea and 1 cup of coffee costs £4.50. 3 cups of tea and 1 cup of coffee cost £8.50. Work out the total cost of 4 cups of tea and 3 cups of coffee. You must show all your working. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to come up with 2 equations. Let's call a cup of tea just T, and 1 cup of coffee is C. So 1T plus 1C costs us £4.50. The next one would be 3 cups of tea, so 3T plus 1 cup of coffee, 1C, is equal to £8.50. So we have a simultaneous equation. What we can do is we can take these 2 away from each other. So if we say the first equation minus the second equation, we have 1t minus 3t, which is minus 2t, and 1c minus 1c is 0c, so they cancel each other out. And then 4.5 minus 8.5 is equal to minus 4. And so if we rearrange this, we get t is equal to minus 4 over minus 2, which is equal to the same as saying 4 over 2, and that's equal to 2. So 1 cup of tea is £2. Now that we've worked out how much 1 cup of tea is, we can work out how much 1 cup of coffee is. So let's plug in this 2 into the first equation. So 1 tea, which we know is £2, plus 1 cup of coffee is equal to £4.50. So 1 cup of coffee is £4.50 minus the £2. So 1 cup of coffee is £2.50. So 1 cup of coffee is £2.50. The question is asking us to work out the total cost for 4 cups of tea and 3 cups of coffee. So we have 4 cups of tea plus 3 cups of coffee. We need to work out how much that costs. So we know that a tea is £2, so 4 times by 2 plus 3 times 1 cup of coffee is £2.50. 4 times 2 is 8. And 3 times 2.5 is 7.5. And 8 plus 7.5 is 15.5. Or in our case, £15.50. Question 17 says, Geeta wants to make 24 litres of green paint. She's going to mix blue paint, yellow paint, and white paint in the ratio 4 to 3 to 1. She has 12 litres of blue paint, 7 litres of yellow paint, and 5 litres of white paint. Does Geeta have enough blue paint, yellow paint, and white paint to make 24 litres of green paint? You must show how you get your answer. So we can work out the total ratio. That's 4 plus 3 plus 1, which is equal to 8. We want 24 litres, and so we can work out how many litres of each we're going to require. That's 24 divided by 8, which is 3. And so blue to yellow to white, we need 3 times as much as the ratio. So 3 times 4 is 12, 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 1 for white paint is 3. So this is how much we need. How many litres we need. Let's look at how many litres we have. We have 12 litres of blue paint, 7 litres of yellow paint, and 5 litres of white paint. So how many litres we have? We can see we have enough blue paint, so we're okay with the amount of blue paint. And we are also okay with the amount of yellow paint because we only need 3, but we have 5. However, we don't have enough yellow paint. We need 9 litres of yellow paint, but we only have 7. And so the answer is no. Geeta does not have enough. Question 18 is asking us to work out 818.4 divided by 1.2. So the first thing that we can do is we can get rid of the decimal places from both numbers. If we multiply both numbers by 10, we have 8,184 divided by 12. We can then use long division to work this out. So that's how many 12s go into 8,184. So the first thing that we can ask ourselves is how many 12s go into 8? Well, 0. How many 12s go into 81? We know that's 6. So then we ask ourselves, what's 12 times 6? And that's 72. So we do 81 minus 72, and that gives us 9. We can then bring this 8 down. And then we ask ourselves, how many 12s go into 98? Well, 8 of them do. And then what's 12 times 8? That's 96. And so 98 minus 96 gives us 2. We can then bring the 4 down. And then we ask ourselves, how many 12s go into 24? Well, that's 2. 12 times 2 is 24. So 24 minus 24 is 0. And so in total, how many 12s go into 8,184? Well, the answer is 682. Question 19 is asking us, the table shows the probabilities that a biased dice will land on 3, on 4, on 5, and on 6. Kareem assumes that the probabilities that the dice will land on 1 and on 2 are the same. Kareem rolls the biased dice 500 times. Assuming Kareem is right, work out an estimate for the number of times the dice will land on 2. So firstly, we can work out the probability that it lands on 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. So the probability that it lands on 3, 4, 5, or 6 is just all of them added together. That's 0.1, add 0.3, add 0.05, add 0.25, and that is equal to 0.7. We know that total probability is always out of 1. So the probability that it lands on 1 or 2 is just 1, which is the total probability, minus the probability that it lands on 3, 4, 5, or 6, which is 0.7. And so that probability is 0.3. Now, Kareem assumes that the probabilities that the dice will land on 1 or 2 are the same, which means we can divide each one by 2. So the probability that it lands on 2 is just 0.3 divided by 2, and that's 0.15. And so if we roll the dice 500 times, and the probability of getting a 2 is 0.15, then 500 multiplied by 0.15 gives us 75. Part B says Kareem is wrong. The probability that the dice will land on 2 is greater than the probability that the dice will land on 1. How does this information affect your answer to part A? Well, if the probability that it will land on 2 is greater, that means the probability that we worked out in the first question, i.e. that the dice will land on 2 75 times, is an underestimate. So we've underestimated how many times the dice will land on 2. Question 20a is asking us to work out 3.5 minus 1 1/6. Give your answer as a mixed number. Well, in order to add or subtract fractions, we need to make sure that the denominator is the same. And as this is a mixed number fraction, we need to first change it into an improper fraction. So how do we do that? Our first fraction is 3 1/2. So to change this into an improper fraction, to get a new numerator, we multiply the number in front, which is 3, multiplied by the denominator, which is 2, and add the numerator, which is 1, all over 2. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 over 2. 6 plus 1 is 7. So our answer for the first one is 7 over 2. If we do the same thing for the other fraction, that's 1 1/6. 1 times 6, so the big number in front multiplied by the denominator plus the numerator over 6. 1 times 6 is 6 plus 1 over 6. That's 6 plus 1, which is 7 over 6. Now, in order to take these away from each other, we need to make sure that the denominator is the same. Well, we can multiply this fraction here by 3, and that will give us the right denominator. So 7 times 3 over 2 times 3 minus 7 over 6. 7 times 3 is 21. 2 times 3 is 6. Minus the 7 over 6. 21 minus 7 is 14 over 6. Now the question is asking us to give it as a mixed number. So we ask ourselves, how many times does 6 go into 14? Well, it's 6, 12. So that's 2. And what's the remainder? It's 2. So 2 over 6. So our answer is 2 and 2 sixths. Part B says, show that 5 1/4 divided by 2 1/3 is equal to 2 1/4. So let's do the same thing. Let's change these fractions into improper fractions first. So 5 1/4 is 5 times 4 plus 1 over 4. 5 times 4 is 20 plus 1 over 4, which is 21 over 4. 2 1/3 is 2 times 3 plus 1 over 3. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 over 3. That's 7 over 3. So we're dividing fractions. So it's 21 over 4 divided by 7 over 3. When we divide fractions, we keep one the same, change the sign, and flip the next fraction. So we can say that's the same as saying, keep the first one the same, 21 over 4, change the sign to multiplication, and then flip the second fraction, 3 over 7. So that's 21 times 3 divided by 4 times 7. 21 times 3 is 63, and 4 times 7 is 28. Now let's change this fraction into a proper fraction. How many times does 28 go into 63? When it goes in 2 times. And what's the remainder? Well, it's 63 minus the 2 times 28 that goes in. So it's 63 minus 56, which is equal to 7. So it's 2 and 7 over 28. And we can simplify 7 over 28 by dividing both top and bottom by 4. And that gives us 2 1/4. So we've shown that these two fractions divided by each other do equal 2 1/4. Question 21 says ABCD is a parallelogram. All angles are measured in degrees. Find an expression in terms of E for the size of angle CAD. Give a reason for each stage of your working. So the question is asking us to work out this angle here. Let's call it X. Now we know from our rules of parallelograms that two angles that are on the same line, so for example on line AD, both angles in each corner will add up to 180. So we can call that the co-interior, or in our case, the angles that are on the same line, angles add up to 180 degrees. Well, that's going to be 3E plus E plus X is equal to 180. Now we can rearrange this to get X as the subject. So X is equal to 180 minus 4E. And that is our expression. 22A says a car travelled 4.96 miles at an average speed of 30.4 miles per hour. Work out an estimate for the time taken by the car. Give your answer in minutes. Well, let's round our numbers. So we can say that 4.96 is roughly 5 miles. And 30.4 miles per hour, we can say is roughly 30 miles per hour. The question is asking us to work out the time taken. So we know that the formula is time taken is equal to distance divided by speed. Well, we have the distance of 5 and the speed of 30. And so that is equal to 1/6 if we simplify it. Now we need to give our answer in minutes. And right now this is in hours. And so we're going to multiply this by 60. So that's 60 divided by 6, which is 10. So the estimate of time taken by the car is 10 minutes. Part B says, is your answer to part A an underestimate or an overestimate? Give a reason for your answer. Well, it's going to be an overestimate. And the reason for this is because we've made 4.96 into 5. So we've made the numerator larger. And we've made 30.4 into 30. So we've made the denominator smaller. So as we have made the numerator larger and denominator smaller. Question 23 says, here is a pentagon. Angle A is equal to angle C. Angle B is 155 degrees. Angle D is 3 times the size of angle C. And angle E is 2 times the size of angle C. Work out the angle A. So we know that the general formula to work out the total angles in a polygon is just 180 multiplied by n, which is the number of sides, minus 2. So in our case, we have a pentagon, which is 5 sides. So it's 180 multiplied by 5 minus 2, which is 180 times 3, which is 540. So we know that all angles A, B, C, D, and E added together gives us 540 degrees. So let angle C equal X. That means we have angle D, which is 3 times the size of angle C, so it's 3x. And angle E is twice the size of angle C, so that's 2x. And we know that angle A is the same as angle C, so A is equal to x as well. And so we have our total angles, 540 is going to be equal to x, which is A, plus C, which is also x, plus B, which is 155, plus D, which is 3x, plus E, which is 2x. And so if we add all of these together, x plus x is 2x, plus 3x is 5x, plus 2x is 7x, plus the 155. If we take the 155 to the other side, that's 7x is equal to 540 minus 155. 7x is equal to 385. And so x is going to be 385 divided by 7, and x is equal to 55 degrees. And so angle A is equal to 55 degrees. Question 24 says the graph shows the volume of water V liters in a tank at time t seconds. What does the gradient of the graph represent? Well, the gradient is just the rate, or how fast. In our case, how fast the water is poured. So the gradient represents the rate at which the water is poured. Question 25 says, make W the subject of the formula y is equal to 3w minus 10. So if we have y is equal to 3w minus 10, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to move the minus 10 to this side. It becomes plus 10. And so that's y plus 10 is equal to 3w. But then I'm going to make this multiplication by 3, take it to the other side, it becomes divide by 3. So that's y plus 10 over 3 is equal to w. So we've made w the subject there. Y plus 10 over 3. Question 26 says, solve x squared minus 2x minus 15. So the general formula for a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Well, a is 1, so we don't have to worry about that. And when we're trying to factorize or solve quadratic equations, we need to find two numbers that when they multiply give us c, but when they add, they give us b. So in our case, we need to multiply to give minus 15 and add to give us minus 2. So those two numbers are going to be minus 5 and plus 3. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to put them into brackets. So we factorize by saying x minus 5 multiplied by x plus 3 is equal to 0. Now, either this part is equal to 0 or the x plus 3 is equal to 0. So if we say that x minus 5 is equal to 0, therefore the value of x is 5. Or we say that x plus 3 is equal to 0, and therefore x is equal to minus 3. So those are our two solutions for x. X is equal to 5, or x is equal to minus 3. The paper. I hope that helped, and I hope that you were able to follow through and understand how we tackled each and every question. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell.